It's not possible. I didn't say it would be easy, Neo.
All right, good morning. Committee on Parole is reconvening at 10:22 a.m. on June 4th, 2024. We are now at David Wade Correctional Center. Thanks for accommodating us there, Warden. And I'd like to ask the Warden to introduce yourself and ask your staff to do the same, please.
Good morning, Michelle Dozot, Warden. Deputy Warden Brenda Acklin. Anna Ralston. Krista Harper, Classification.
Danny Henshaw, Classification. Deputy Warden Arnold.
All right, well, thank you all. We got the 18 today, I see. Thanks for being here with us. We appreciate it. And we have before us Mr. Coleman. Is that you?
Yes, ma'am. Marcus Purnell Coleman.
And what's your DOC number, sir?
322817.
All right, Mr. Coleman, let me, I have to acknowledge some of the folks who joined us today by Zoom. You can see Tessa Reeder, your fiance. I believe you can see her on the screen. She wants to speak on your behalf, and we'll ask her to do so at the appropriate time. Here with us in Baton Rouge, we're at DOC headquarters. We have Ms. Jill Durant. I'm sorry if I mispronounced the name. And her husband, Jeff. Emily Desatel, Glenn George, and Kim Womack, and we'll be hearing from some of those folks at the appropriate time. We'll call on them for their remarks. Mr. Coleman, at the end, you'll be allowed to make a statement if you'd like to do so. First, I'll read some identifying information into the record and ask you to verify it, and then we'll conduct a parole interview. I'll take the lead on that interview because your case has been assigned to me. Once me and my colleagues have completed the interview, we'll hear from Warden Dozat and then from those who've indicated they'd like to speak to you. Okay, you understand that process?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Mr. Coleman, let me introduce the parole panel to you. I'm Cheryl Renanza. Seated to my left is Ms. Ledoux, and to my right is Mrs. Stapleton. So let's see. Mr. Coleman, your master prison record has you classified as a third felony offender. You're currently serving a 99-year sentence as a habitual offender for armed robbery. Your parole eligibility date is October 14, 2024. And you have a good time date, which is in 2102. Does all that information sound correct to you?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So tell us, Mr. Coleman, how old are you now?
50, ma'am. 50.
Age 50. How long have you been incarcerated on this crime?
19 years and I think like 8 months, 9 months.
Almost 20 years. Now, I mentioned that your master prison record shows you as a third felony offender, but when they did the pre-parole investigation, I think that it was determined that you're a sixth felony offender. Does that sound right to you? How many times have you been arrested?
I got 4 convictions.
Well, that's not what I asked. How many times have you been arrested?
14 times.
14 times. All right. So let's talk about, so you were at Angola during this period of incarceration from 2007 to 2022. So you've been there at David Wade a little over a year, about a year and a half. I want to know, what have you been doing for the past 19 and a half years, 19 years?
Well, first I was in a hobby shop in Angola, and I've learned a lot about taking responsibilities. I was also trying to find a way to, come to the understanding of who I am. And I know for a long time I've been living with denial, and I've come to understand today that denial has been keeping me trapped in my downward spiral. And I understand today that, being able to understand that the things that I've done and the harm that I've caused others was solely because of me. And I've been taking time out lately to find out who I am and identifying with different aspects of my life, such as coming to understand that in order for me to be able to live a productive life, I have to understand what being productive is. And all these times that I was committing these crimes, I understand that it was nobody's fault but my own. So I just been trying to live my life of, trying to do the right thing and continue being productive.
So you say you've been working on that lately. You've been working on that since you've been there at Wade?
Well, when I came to Wade, and the difference in Wade and Angola is because in Angola you have facilitators, and I thank the warden for giving us an opportunity to come here from Angola and have real assessors here, like the teachers. And with their teaching, it taught me something that I didn't learn in Angola. Angola is like you was going to class every day and just leaving without anything. Leaving from David Wade, you have substance. It teaches you how to understand your responsibilities. It teaches me how to understand that the cause of my actions. For so long, I've been falling into the courts thinking that it was the district attorney or it was the evidence against me that was the problem. But all along, I realized it wouldn't have been no problem with the district attorneys or the evidence if I wouldn't have committed the crime that I committed. And I've learned that at David Wade that being in denial has always kept me down. And like I said, I thank the warden for having me here at David Wade to learn these things.
All right. Well, you mentioned court. I see you had a court trip in July of 2023. What did you go to court for in July of last year?
I went because, like I was saying, I was in a situation to where I'm just trying to go home. And I was looking at the discrepancies and the evidence in my case. And I just, not saying that I wasn't guilty, but it's just that I felt like there was other things that could have been done and I could have received another trial and went through another trial. As far as the guilt of the trial, I have responsibility and I take full responsibility, accountability for my actions.
And that's interesting that you say that, because in the record, we do have opposition. We'll hear from some of it here today, but the district attorney's office notes that you continue to assert factual innocence, no remorse or admission of wrongdoing for the violent armed robbery the second time. How would you respond to those remarks?
Well, I respond to that in 2021. I think I filed 2 motions into the district attorney's office expressing remorse. I sought 2 plea bargain assessment under 930.10, and the district attorney refused both of them. Within those proceedings, I requested and I specifically asked that they consider me taking a plea bargain as beginning prior to my trial. So I accepted full responsibility, but the district attorney denied it.
Denied the plea deal?
Yes, yes, and the remorse that I was shown within trying to get a plea bargain accepted.
All right, so you've admitted now today that, you accept the guilt. So tell us what happened.
Well, I take full responsibility of my actions because, like I said, it didn't have anything to do with my upbringing. I take full responsibility because I understood what I was doing at the time that I did it. All right, what did you do?
What did you do is what I'm trying to get at. I want to hear you say what you did.
Well, I went to Lake Charles, Louisiana in search of someone to give me money so I can use drugs. I intentionally followed Ms. Dozart from the ATM banking up to Casamillana. And when I got to that point, I asked my co-defendants to let me out. And I went up behind her and I grabbed her and I led her to Ryan Street and I got her purse and I had a gun to her and I jumped in the vehicle and we sped off.
You had a gun to her?
Yes, ma'am.
What'd you say to her?
I told her if she do not give me the money that I was going to hurt her.
Did she talk to you?
Yeah, she kept telling me, no, take the purse, take the money, just don't do this. She kept asking me not to do it. She kept pleading with me not to. And I refused to hear her.
I noticed your progress report indicates that your classified as medium custody. You've had 18 write-ups in your 19 years. The last was a low court write-up in 2021. You agree with that?
Yes, ma'am.
You've done anger management in 2023, thinking for change 2022. You did victim awareness and victim accountability letter. Are you currently enrolled in Living in Balance?
No, I just graduated from Living in Balance about 2 weeks ago. I'm currently involved in reentry.
Okay. So you, what is your job?
I work on Crew 1.
What's Crew 1?
It's like a field
Field?
crew. Yes, ma'am.
So when's the last time you went out to work?
Last week, and we go this afternoon.
What did you do last week? What was the job assignment?
Well, what we do is we do like general pickup, like so far as like cleaning up the areas, sweeping, mopping, raking leaves.
In the yard?
Yes, ma'am.
So why would you think as part of this process, we asked your work supervisor to evaluate your work and you rated fair? Why would you say that is your rating?
Well, be honest with you, I do not understand why. I don't know. I can't answer that. I don't.
So the options are excellent, good, fair, or poor. And you rated, you don't know why? You do a good job for it?
Well, I mean, we had just started working not even a good three weeks ago, so I don't know. I really don't know.
Okay. So I want you to tell me why you believe after serving only 19 years of a 50-year sentence, considering your criminal history, your arrest history, your conviction history, and the fact that just in the last year and a half, you started to find out who you really are. Why do you think we ought to consider early release?
Well, I believe that, first it start within, and I believe that the person I am today, I live with integrity, I live with morals, I live with principles now that at one point in time, I can honestly say that I didn't have. Right now, I believe that I can be productive in society because I have family support, I have moral stability now that I never had before. I have job opportunities, I have job skills, I have the necessary tools to be able to go out there and not to have to function like I was before. At one point in time, I used to be strung out on drugs real bad. And I can honestly say now I've been off of drugs for 15 years and I live day to day, keeping my mind focused on doing the right thing. And I struggled with drugs for a long time, but the drugs wasn't the problem, it was me. And then being able to identify who I am. Today I identify who I am. And I believe that I can go out there and do the things that are required of me. And I also understand that if released, I still will have approximately 80-something years left on parole. So that would give me a motivation to go out there and continue doing the right thing.
You ever been on parole before?
Yes, ma'am.
You were on supervision when you committed this crime?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So you have not been successful on parole. My notes say you have a history of revocations.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Well, I don't have any other questions. I'm going to defer to my colleagues and then we'll hear more. Any questions?
I just have one question. She did repeatedly ask you to let her go, that you could have the purse and go, but you didn't want to do that. You kept dragging her and she had to fight to get away. So what was your plans if you got her in the vehicle and took off with her? What were you going to do with her? I mean, you had the purse.
Okay, to be honest with you, it never was my intention of bringing in a vehicle. The only thing I was trying to do is get the money and get away. Looking back, I mean, I can honestly say that I've never really planned to, and I'm not trying to minimize, I wasn't trying to commit any harm. I was just trying to scare her like I've did in plenty other times, and that's all I did. I mean.
Any other times you had other armed robberies?
Yes, ma'am. When I committed the first armed robbery, I did the same thing.
Oh,
Threatened. Yes, ma'am.
just followed the same pattern.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, that was my question.
Thank you. Warden Dozat?
Marcus came to us in November of 2022. He is currently still in reentry, as he stated. I will note that the majority of the programming that he's taken, with the exception of an art class in 2014, was taken in 2022. Since he's been here, the classes that he took, he hasn't had any write-ups since he's been here. He is in medium custody. He works on our grounds crew, which is assigned by dormitory. So he works according to that schedule. So we don't have any issues out of him. He did complete his living in balance, as he said, and victim awareness in 2022, and cage your rage in 23. So that's all we have.
So he's been busy since he's been at your place. Good, thank you. Mr. Coleman, we're going to ask Ms. Reeder. We'd like to hear her comments now. Ms. Reeder, what would you like us to know? You're on mute. Can you unmute?
Okay, you can hear me now?
Ma'am.
Okay. When I met Marcus, I met Marcus in jail. I was in 2006. And I didn't know nothing about his past record or anything like that. Marcus become to be real close. We came to be real close to each other. And I understand that Marcus was becoming better than what he was in jail from the robbery from this lady. Due to this time of visiting Marcus, I believe he's seeing changes in himself that Marcus began to show me. Marcus has shown me to look in life from an understanding the way of others. I believe that the person Marcus is today can and will be used to help others. I believe Marcus can and will be the better person in our life, of other people's. I believe Marcus has received points of his life and family and understand the pain for he caused this lady and her family, and as well as his family. I believe that Marcus was not the person who I knew when he was in jail. I've written everything down so I won't forget nothing. I believe that if Marcus was not the person who I know he is today, that he should not be released. The person he is today is not who he was 20 years ago. I understand the pain, the hurt, the fear of that come with being hurt by over time, over it. I understand that what Marcus did was not right in the eyes of the law, and he had to pay for it. But I do understand that 20 years is enough time. I believe today is a new day for Marcus. I believe with my support and family and his family support, Marcus can be willing and grateful of belief. I believe he understands what he did and he regrets what he did was done. I believe he will never put us in the painful place ever again. I think you are hearing me out, and I ask you all accept Marcus Coleman today as a changed person and allow him to come home to his family. I ask that this lady and her family accept this as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Reader. Thanks for your comments. Now we'll hear from the victim and the victim's family. I'm going to let you all decide who wants to go first. Go ahead. If you just step up there and introduce yourself and tell us. Y'all put her on mute.
Okay. Thank y'all for giving us this opportunity to share our side of the story. It's interesting to me that here we are today for the first time. We've heard Marcus Coleman admit his guilt. Before today, he has played the victim part. He was like, this was the only crime that was ever on his plate, and he was wrongly accused. I'm thankful for the penitentiary systems, and I'm glad that Marcus is taking advantage of the structure, the discipline that they offer, and trying to get his life in some sort of order. I'm going to keep this as short as possible because the first man deserves to be heard. I want her to have time. I'm here mostly, and she can speak for herself more better than I can. I'm mostly here for the future victims of Marcus Coleman, should he be let out. And it's demonstrated he cannot be rehabilitated. If you had noticed, just like we did, he talks about remorse, but he doesn't feel it. He has regret, which is different. If he gets out and he's away from this structure and discipline that's provided for him in the penitentiary, he doesn't know anything else. The only thing that he will have learned is his next victim won't survive. Because if he had gotten Jill in that car and killed her and dumped her somewhere, it would have been the next crime that he would have committed and would have gotten caught for that would have put him in jail. But she wouldn't be here to testify. That's our concern. I'm speaking on behalf of the future victims.
Thank you, sir.
There's another that's speaking from people in real America, so I'm gonna do my best. I'm here today to ask you to deny Marcus Coleman. Let me just start with how shocked I was when I got the letter saying he was done. I thought it was gonna be a long time before this came. He just went to court a couple of months before, like Jeff said, and he was saying he was wrongly accused, like he was sitting there saying, I picked the first person that I could pick, so he was fighting with them. And it's because, if I understand it, because of geriatric reasons, but to me, he's not too old to still commit crimes. Seems old to start new careers, but anyway, I just don't understand how he has the opportunity to be up for this. This has been a never-ending battle, though. This is not, we've had to go back multiple times to court. And like I said, each time it's been, he hasn't admitted it. It wasn't him. He hasn't shown guilt. He hasn't shown remorse. It wasn't him. He's been trying to prove how it was not him. But let me say, I don't have hate for Marcus. I don't wish bad for him. I don't. But what I do want, and I think that I deserve, is justice. And I looked up the definition of justice. It says that the administration of what is just or fair, and or the assignments of rewards or punishment that are due. So to me, justice for Marcus would be to serve his full sentence. That's what's due. And I'm not against giving someone second chances, third chances. I'm really not. Like I think people can be rehabilitated. But they have to be making some effort, not just when it all of a sudden I'm up for parole, so I'm going to make effort. He's had multiple chances, and each time that he's gotten out, he's reverted back to a lighter crime. He's proven that he can't live in society and be productive. He's proven that he's going to harm or take from society. Those are the kind of people that have to live in prison. So everything in me wishes for him that I could change all this. I wish I could give him a refund button. I wish I could give him a do-over. force him to make the right decision, but I can't. That's not a possibility. So in life, we have to stand by the choices that we make, and we have to suffer the consequences of our choices. That's just life. I especially wish that I could go back to the evening of October 9, 2004 and try to say something different other than what I said. I tried every angle. I fought him. I begged. I pleaded. I talked. He had, first of all, following me, he had long enough time to change his mind. And then with me, I'm like, listen, I have $40. Let me show you my $40. Just take my 40. He had my purse, so why wasn't he on his way? And like Jeff said too, the things, I'm here and I'm thankful that I'm here and my story ended okay and I'm glad. But what he almost took for me, what he almost took for my children, what he almost took for my grandchildren. Like Jeff said, the next person, that might be what happens. Sorry, I don't know. Anyway, I've often wondered about his childhood. If it was good, if it was bad. That night I asked him about that. I said, do you have a mom and do you have a grandma? Like, who raised you? And we talked about a lot of different things. But anyway, I said, what would your mom or what would your grandma think about this? If you have a sister, if you have a daughter, what would you think if this was happening to her? And he did mention his grandma. So I don't know if his grandma raised him. I don't know if he had a good raising or bad raising. But it doesn't matter if you had a good raising or a bad raising. It doesn't matter if you had the proper love or the proper guidance. It just comes a time in life where you have to choose what kind of person that you want to be, regardless of your child. I know then and I know now that he knew right from wrong. There was nothing wrong with him. He's capable of knowing right from wrong, and each time he is chosen over and over to go back to doing wrong. And to me, if he hated being incarcerated so badly and he wanted to be out, why, when he got out, did he alter his behavior or do whatever it took to not have to go back? And sorry if I'm repeating, but understand, up until today, he has never admitted guilt or remorse. He has expressed that he feels he was falsely accused, wrongly identified, and he felt like his freedom was taken. But it wasn't. He gave it away. He took my freedom. He took my sense of security. He gave it. Anyway, I just wonder if he's ever pondered that, like the impact that it had on me, and sheer care of that. You feel when somebody has you at gunpoint, what you think is going to happen, like the toll that needs from someone. I don't know. Maybe that's what he learns in his class. But I hope that he realizes that he's in prison because of the choices that he made. It came from no one but him. I didn't do this. It's my sincere hope that he has changed or that he will change or that is rehabilitated. But he still needs to remain in prison to serve his full sentence that was given to him. He used up all his chances to prove himself that he reformed long ago. As pitiful as that seems that he might have to stay in jail, he still can have a life of fulfillment, peace, joy, and pride, knowing that he finally, for the first time, chose to do the right thing, to admit his guilt, serve his sentence that was given to him. Lastly, if he gets out, I fear for my life, my family's life, and my grandbaby's life. I don't want to spend my life looking over my shoulder, nor do I feel I should have to. My life, my family's life, and no one's life, for that fact, is worth taking the chance to see what's he going to do if he gets out. It's just like him. Anyway, my greatest fear is that the next time he will not leave the victim to tell their story or to beg for his parole to be denied. Please look at his record and what he's done each time he's gotten it. It's my plea that you make him serve his whole sentence that is due him and deny him parole. I ask you, do you want him to be your neighbor? Do you want him to be your grandchild's neighbor? Your mother?
Yes, ma'am.
Please don't take it as the same what will happen when he gets out.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening.
Thank you for your remarks. Mr. George, I'm going to ask you to be brief, sir.
I will. My name is Glenn George. I'm the pastor of the First Baptist Church in Gillis. Because our family has been there for a long time, I've been the pastor for 22 years. In addition, they are tremendous friends to our family, and our families are very close. Our children grew up together. And I'm here today just to tell you that over the years, this experience has taken a hard toll on their family. and especially in jail. And I volunteered to come just to be a witness to what has gone on. As a pastor, I don't know everything that goes on in their family, obviously, but I have a special insight in the times that we've been able to counsel about this event. I've been able to see how it's affected her, Jeff, the kids. And I would just strongly urge the board to consider, what happens from this point if Mr. Coleman gets parole. I don't think I can say any better than Jeff, but it would result in a lot of insecurity. It would result in dredging up a fresh amount of fear and insecurity when she's been working for 20 years to put this behind her. And so I just wanted to come today to let you know that that's been her experience. We've been witnesses of it. Her family has walked with him through this and seen that it was a very, very real struggle and a horrible thing that no one should ever have to go through. And so I'm just asking y'all to exercise the wisdom that you have to exercise in this case. I'm asking you not only to deny this parole, but if you can extend the period of time that exists for him to come up for parole again, that would be such a gracious thing. We would appreciate that so much. I want to thank you for your service and thank you for your time today.
And thank you, sir. Appreciate your remarks as well. Mr. Coleman, is there a brief statement you'd like to make to the panel before we vote?
Yes, ma'am. Considering all that was said, I can't help but to agree because that's who I was. I was that person 20 years ago. I was that person the better part of my life. I was a person who did everything they said, and right now today I can never get back or take back anything. But the person who I am today, I look at myself different today. I live with a certain type of gratitude of myself because I understand that the person who received those 99 years for that armed robbery on October the 9th, 2004, I deserved the 99 years. Looking back at who I was, I deserved to be in here for the rest of my life, considering who I was. But the person who I am today, I do not look at myself at that. I live according to the rules. I lived in a structured environment for the past 20 years, and I've done my best to show that I'm capable of going out there in society and living a productive life. I don't pose a threat to nobody. I don't pose a threat to self or to others. I've learned to love everyone. I've learned to live around everyone. And I've learned to give my best foot going forward. So, I mean, I understand what happened, and I can only show full remorse today. I couldn't show remorse yesterday because I didn't know what it was. I didn't know how to apologize. I didn't know how to, just like she said, I didn't know how to accept responsibility. So everything she was saying, it is true. But I believe that today who I am, I'm not that person anymore. And I feel that I can go out there in society and be a productive citizen. And I'd like to thank the board. I'd like to thank the state of Louisiana and everybody for giving me the opportunity to be heard.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Coleman. Well said. And I think we are prepared to vote. I'll be voting first since your case was assigned to me. And I've heard everything you said. And I've heard everything everybody said. I'm glad that you are taking advantage of opportunities. It seems as though when you had a parole date, that's when you started really working on you. The record will show me, at least, that you've really been doing that work for about 1.5 years, or really since you've been at David Road. And I appreciate your honesty about your experience in Angola and taking advantage of those facilitated classes and what have you. And then what you said about once you got to Wade, it was real to you, and you started paying attention to it, and you got stuff out of it. And so I'm encouraged by that. And I think that maybe your participation in the victim awareness and accountability classes may have been what's enabled you to admit your guilt today. And I want to acknowledge that you've done that. And it's evident in the record. This may be the first time you've said that out loud. So I'm really pleased that you've been able to do that. I don't think 1.5 years is long enough for the damage that you've inflicted on this family. I mean by that by a year and a half of you working on yourself. I know you've done almost 20 years, but it's just not quite sufficient. I'd like to see you get some more programming under your belt. Maybe come back to us whenever you've done that and stay right up free. And I think you'll be a stronger person for it. My vote today, based on the opposition that's been expressed here today and in the record, is to deny your parole. Ms. Ledoux.
Mr. Coleman, that epiphany, your epiphany and your change of heart will do you a world of good. It will also do the facility good, because your behavior will reflect your change of heart. But today, based on the factors we've discussed, my vote is also to deny your parole.
Mrs. Stapleton.
I agree with everything that Ms. Renata said. I vote to deny. And I'd like to tell the victim, I'm glad she had the opportunity to give her full statement and you had to listen to it quietly. And I'm glad that all of you were able to come here today. And I would hope that Mr. Coleman, you stay on the same path that you've been on, like Ms. Renata said, the past year and a half. And you heard your victim. So vote today is to deny.
All right, Mr. Coleman. Keep doing what you're doing. Stay on the path. Good luck to you, sir.
Okay, thank you.